NEC4 subcontract clause 60. There's no event for delay and disruption. So what on earth do you do if you're experiencing delay and disruption? Hello, my name's Chris Jones of Oraculum Consulting, and welcome to the Oraculum Evolution podcast. So today on the Oraculum Evolution podcast, we're going to discuss what to do when you're experiencing delay and disruption under a NEC4 subcontract. Imagine the following scenario. You arrive on site ready to start work, and the work area which you've been allocated isn't ready for you, or perhaps the main contractor is meant to be digging you a trench so you can install some ducting or drainage, and they've installed or they've excavated some of the trench but not enough for you, so can only get, say, 1 or 2 days work, then you've been stopped again. Maybe you've been asked to go and work on another part of the site and stop your current work. Perhaps you're finding some other contractors are in your way. What generally happens in that pattern is you're not getting good productivity, and even if you get in another area of site for a day's work, we all know that moving around is just disruptive and does not give you good continuity or opportunity to make real profit and progress. So how do we sort that out? We're going to look at the Oraculum 5-step process for managing delay and disruption under NEC4 subcontract conditions. So what is the 5-step process? First of all, step 1 is records. Step 2 is notification. Step 3 is program. Step 4 is collaboration. And step 5 is assess and monitor. Step 1, records. There's a rule of thumb I think of with records, and that is, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. And that's why it's so important to keep good records. When I'm talking about records, there's probably 2 main types of record we should be keeping. Firstly is diaries, secondly is allocation sheets. I've been challenged a few times on why you need to keep the 2 types of records, because don't they say the same thing? Well, to me they don't. An allocation sheet tells you what the resource was doing. The diary tells you why it was doing it. Think of a diary as being the story behind what was going on. So if I was to ask you now to go back to your project 4 or 5 weeks ago and find out what you were doing at that point in time, go and have a look and do that and see how good your records are, and if you can really picture what you were doing properly 4 or 5 weeks ago. What should we keep in a diary then? Basic information to start with, such as weather conditions. Was it windy? Was it raining? Was it snowing? Was you stopped because of the weather condition? And then also items like any client instructions, any visitors coming to site, any other contractors which were in your way and causing delays to your productivity. Was there anything else which meant you couldn't get the progress you was meant to be getting? When we program a project, we program activities in long continuous bars. As soon as that bar breaks, we should record why it's broken, even if that is something of our own doing. Still record it, because at least then you're getting the full picture about what's going on. So make sure you're recording your diaries, what's going on, why you move into certain areas if you move in, what's causing you delays, what's causing you good progress, and really help build up the picture about what was going on the site at the time. Then we move on to allocation sheets. So an allocation sheet splits the time of the day down into, for example, hour segments. So record at each segment what the plant was doing. So if it was excavating a trench for ducting in 2 hours in the morning, but then a bit later in the morning it was grading off some earthworks, you can then cross-reference your diary to see why it moved between the two tasks. It may be something that you wanted to do yourself, but it may be there was a client instruction and you was required to move onto a different task. That's where the two really come in helpful. They complement each other, and again, just help build up that evidence should you need it in the future. The allocation sheet records the exact resource and what it's doing, so commercially you can cost that up a lot more easily than maybe you could with a diary. Okay, so diaries and allocation sheets. The other thing to think of with record keeping is how do you physically keep it. Now you could use a paper and pen, and that's fine, it still records the information. It's probably not the easiest way to store it now, you can't really store that electronically. So you could consider Word document or spreadsheets to record that information. Far easier to store electronically. There's a lot more sophisticated systems now though to use digital systems to actually record information and get data from that information. A particular system I like is one by the team at Gather. So if you want to check those out, they're www.gatherinsights.com. Systems like that really help draw data out and almost forecast delays before they even occur. So great investment if you're looking at a system of that type. What's really important also is not to just leave it on your email. If ever you get called in to go and retrospectively look at getting a compensation event or a claim, if information is just stored in email inboxes, it makes it so difficult to get the information out. So yes, the information exists, but it becomes very expensive to process it because you've got a longhand go through everyone's inbox and drag the information out. So make sure it's stored properly. Have a meeting about it before you start your project and decide how are we going to store this information so it's readily accessible should we need it. So that's step one, records. Step 2, notifications. Poor contract administration is a leading cause of dispute, but it's really important to make sure you administer your contract correctly. You can also jeopardise your entitlement if you don't administer your contract correctly. So getting the correct notifications in on time is imperative. If you need some training, go and seek out some training on NEC contracts so you know what your responsibilities are. Let's talk about a couple of notifications then. Firstly, I want to look at early warnings, clause 15. These to me are the essence of NEC. They are what promotes collaboration and proactive risk management. So what you should do, if you discover or can foresee any event which may, and I just want to hang on the word may there because it's not an absolute, it just means it may give, or it may be a possibility of, it doesn't mean it's an absolute. May delay completion, it may increase the total of the prices, it may delay meeting a key date, or it may impair the performance of the works in use. So if you can foresee any event which would do that, give the notification and then follow up with an early warning meeting to discuss that with the main contractor. In that meeting, what you should do is look at ways of managing that risk to hopefully stop it coming to fruition or mitigating it so it doesn't have such a big impact. So I also want to look at notification of the compensation events themselves. The subcontractor would notify under clause 61.3. The actual event which the delay relates to is really the more challenging aspect of it, though, because as I said at the start of the podcast, there's no overarching event for delay and disruption. Every delay needs to be related to a specific event. Let's give a couple of examples. The contract data or the accepted program gives a certain access date. You turn up on the access date to start work and find you can't because the contract isn't giving you access. The event in question would be 60.12, which is where the contractor doesn't give access to site. Another example could be on your accepted program, you've noted down that there's some others working in the area at a certain point in time. You expect to get access to that area, but when you get there, you find them out of the way. On your accepted program, the others should be out of the way. You may notify under the event 60.15, which is where the contractor or others are not working in accordance with the accepted program. So that is probably the more challenging aspect of it, is to really know which event relates to your delays, and there may be multiple of them. That's the key part to proving delay and disruption. By all means, go and seek some advice if you need to discover which events are applicable to your delays. Step 3, program. The program really is a great management tool which, in my view as contractors, we underutilise. The NEC uses it to assess compensation events. So if you're experiencing delay and disruption, get together with your team and update your program showing the effect of all the events which you're experiencing. Pay particular attention to your critical path and how that affects planned completion, because the eventual completion date under NEC is assessed against the planned completion date. After you've gone through and updated all the events and timing of any instructions, etc., you also want to make sure it's updated with any milestones of what you require the contractor to do for you, just so it's very clear on where the responsibilities lie, on who's doing what, who's expected to do what, and what other contractors will be working in the area as well. It's another way where NEC forces collaboration in a way, because if you look at clause 31, it requires you to go and talk to other people to find out the timing of their works, to find out what the contractor's got planned, and to include that information on your program. So pay its due diligence and go through and do a real good, high quality update of your program. Submit it for acceptance. An accepted program is one of your best friends when you have delay and disruption. Step 4, collaboration. The NEC revolves around collaboration, so get a meeting together with the contractor and discuss with them what you're experiencing out on the site, the delays, the disruption, and try and find out what the root cause of that is. It's not usual or normal that you've been disrupted because they want to disrupt you. There's a genuine challenge which they're trying to solve, which unfortunately is probably resulting in you being disrupted. So try and find out what their goals are, try and find out what their challenges are, and see how your work fits into that. This may require you making a new plan with the contractor to solve the disruption. So get together, if necessary agree a new plan, make sure that's recorded back to them, and if necessary you're getting instructions from them to alter the timing of your works. It will, all being well, result in better progress once you're back out on site and working to the new plan. But getting together in a collaboration meeting really is essential to resolving the problem. Try and push that meeting as hard as possible. Sometimes it's not easy to get them, people are busy, but keep pushing for it and work with the contractor to resolve the issues out on site. Ultimately, it's their project, it's in their interest to make sure you can work effectively and deliver the works. Step 5. Assess and monitor. So you've made a new plan in your collaboration meeting. This will likely result in a lot of change to your original sequence. So the first step now is to assess that change, update your program, and if necessary submit the appropriate notices, so early warnings, compensation event notices. And then when you're on site, make sure you're delivering to the new plan and monitor against that new plan. So you've updated your program to the new plan. Is everyone, the other parties, the contractor, still sticking to that new plan? If they are, great. If not, follow up with your notices again. So that's more early warnings, more compensation event notices if applicable. Always make sure you're calling the early warning meetings to discuss them, to make sure you're trying to mitigate as far as possible. Keep your record keeping up as well. Keep your program updates up, and really follow that loop round to ensure your progress stays on track, and where you do experience challenges, your correct notifications are in and your business is protected. I hope you found that useful. Oraculum specialise in collaboration and working to preserve relationships whilst also solving problems. So if you are experiencing delays and disruption and require some assistance, then by all means give us a call. We'd love to help.